Well, friends, someone was kind enough to send me this particular piece of content. And what I saw from it was just another person again who has probably gone to some institution, if they have or if they haven't, I don't know, right? But they've probably gone somewhere or read something somewhere and decide that, you know what, I'm going to use what I've read as like a whole stick that I'm going to whack over a particular populace of people. And she has chosen that, hey, she's going to whack the heads of men because men have decided that they've become stoic. Let's go.
A man that claims that he is stoic, he is actually revealing a lot to you. Never believe a man, never, ever, ever get impressed by a man telling you that he is stoic because he is actually revealing a lot to you.
All right. So she said that a man that has told her that he's stoic, don't believe him at all. Well, exactly what is a stoic? Can we actually pull up a definition of that without me just kind of telling you what it is? So, folks, just so we revisit it, Stoicism is just like a Greek Roman philosophy that came about in the time of Marcus Aurelius. And the idea behind it is just, living virtuously by cultivating resilience and inner strength. It emphasizes the importance of virtue, acceptance of what is beyond one's control, and just focusing on, what we can influence. That's it. That's the idea behind Stoicism. So when a man decides that, you know what, he's not going to go out of his way to do anything different for a woman, he's practicing somewhat of Stoicism. He's going to what he can control. If she's in his circle and she decides she wants to be in his orbit, fine. He goes out with her or he tries to put some argument into her. If she does not, if she's not there, then guess what? He doesn't do anything at all because it's out of his control.
We have to understand that as humans, we are emotionally tied to semantics. So you'll hear a word and that word alone will give you a feeling because words have negative and positive connotations. And the thing about it is that you'll have a connotation about something, but it will not match the reality of how that word is actually being depicted.
So couldn't we say the same thing about women? Aren't there times when women have different connotations of different words that don't mean anything at all, and they use them nonetheless? But couldn't we say the same thing about women? I'm just asking because it sounds like it's only men that come up with these things where they use words that they want to draw meaning to it. Isn't that so?
So a lot of men will use the word stoic because they've built stoicism up to have a positive connotation. And stoicism does have a positive connotation. The issue is that their idea of stoicism is not what is actually being practiced.
So what are they actually practicing? When you say that what they're practicing, you mean the whole idea of them controlling what they can and leaving what they can't control? Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you mean?
Men have avoidant personality disorder. Most men they don't know how to socialize.
All right, hold on. So we're talking about socialization. So you're saying that most men have avoidant personality disorder. That's really kind of tricky. Let me pull up my DSM-5 TR because there's no way I can be making these claims without me actually seeing what you're talking about. Let me pull that. Friends, this is avoidant personality disorder. As you can see, you're going to have to satisfy at least 4 of these criteria for you to actually be saying that someone has avoidant personality disorder. And just look at some of the categories. Avoiding occupational activities that involve significant interpersonal contact. So you're saying that men at work that are doing activities are not coming in contact with women. That's what you're saying? Is unwilling to get involved with people unless certain of being liked. Really? So you're saying men really are not going to work doing these things. That's what she's saying. In other words, show restraint with intimate relationships because of the fear of being shamed or ridiculed. I think that's it. That is more than, even if she wants to bring this there to say, okay, that's one of those things that's there. Can we not pretty much argue that, hey, the truth is that men are held back by a lot of things, such as, hey, they could be charged for, any little crime that you can think of at all. A man may catcall to a woman or do something else and it could be deemed as harassment. Aren't these things we have seen in our society? Just look at the other things. Views self as socially inept, personally unappealing. How do you get into these? Listen, the truth about this whole idea of avoidant personality disorder is this. This has only been diagnosed to about 2% of the actual population, the entire population. So for her to make this actual claim about men because maybe she have spoken to some men and they were not great socially, and because those men weren't great socially, she has used that to mark all men and to make a blanket statement that most men have avoidant personality disorder. And as I've shown you on the screen, this is what I'm talking about. I had to do this because I feel like it's time that ladies stop going to school, and then when you go to school, you come out and you start to see if you can whack the population all the time, like, with whatever knowledge you think you have more than everybody else. I feel like people need to stop doing that or stop reading these books coming out and not having conversations, but instead saying, you know what, I'm better than you. It's like that plantation style of thinking. It's that, hey, I'm living in the great house, and since I'm living in the great house and you're working out in the fields, you know what? I'm better than you. That's what's going on.
Most men do not know how to emotionally regulate. When men say that they are stoic, they're telling on themselves. Really, what men are admitting when they claim that they are stoic, they are admitting the fact that socially something's wrong with them. Emotionally, something is wrong with them, because the whole point of Stoicism is not to be void of emotions. Stoicism is meant to actually understand your emotions, regulate your emotions, and then based off of that, choose the appropriate reaction based off of the emotional regulation.
So in other words, so if a man is out here and he realizes that, you know what, I've just called to this particular sister because it seems like you're skewing the argument towards social, you know what I mean, social interactions. So if I call to this sister and she gives me what you call now, you know, not the best of vibes then in essence then, and I say to myself, you know what, I'm just going to let it go. He's not regulating that emotion. That's what you're saying. Because that's kind of the gist beyond stoicism. The idea is just leaving it go. It's making it stay. Now I understand you're going to have men who probably will chase a little more and talk a little more, but hey, is that what you're saying? And couldn't we say the same for women? That women actually have, you know, times and means where, you know, they don't want to socialize as well? Is that really what it is? Where a man might be talking to them and they take it as something else? Are you sure it's just men not regulating emotions? Come on.
Men believe that stoicism is just not having any feelings, not having any emotions, not having any, having no regard to the reaction that they are going to have. For men, stoicism is just stonewalling.
So when did men say that they don't have any emotions at all? I think that women sometimes get this incorrect. When did men say they don't have any emotions? I don't know what she's talking about at all. This is exactly why I said that I don't like when people come out on the internet. They learn a particular thing and they see exactly they can whack the populace. And it happens a lot with especially, you know, in our little community. And I'm talking now because I'm black. It is what it is. In our little black community, what I find that happens is that people get some amount of education and they use that education to see if they can use it against their particular populace. Because I know she's definitely not talking about the white men and all of those other people. It doesn't sound like that's what she's talking about. It sounds like she's talking about some black men. But I could be wrong. Hey, I could be wrong. She could respond to this as well too. Let's keep watching.
We have to remember, like, we're talking about the gender that in order for them to solve the problem of them not wanting to be with their wife anymore, they'll just unalive her. Like, there has to be mentally something wrong with a gender that thinks that that's the way that you solve a problem.
That's you speaking in just one little level of context. You don't know exactly what has happened. You don't know the things that the men have gone through. You don't know the scenarios and situations. If you watch a lot of the videos, since as we're going to go into this particular topic, a lot of times when men commit these suicidal acts or whatever it is, they have been pressured. They have been going through a lot of mental health issues where they may have been pressured to provide, they may have been pressured to succeed, they may have been pressured to do a lot of different things. And so that is the way that they put that particular emotion out. Women have their ways as to how they put that out as well. So to be making this kind of statement is a little bit much. It's almost like it's an attack on men. Is that what this is exactly? Let me know. Let us exactly know. And this is what I'm talking about again. These are not conversations anymore. They're just wars. That's what's happening at this point in time. It's a gender war. There's no more conversation. Women are not having conversations. What they do is go into these relationships with a few men who have been moving around with these chicks, and those few men are used to represent the masses. Is that what's happening?
To just unalive your wife and your whole entire family.
I had to come on and I had to react to this because going ahead and saying that I'm going to just, give out a blanket diagnosis such as avoidant personality disorder, a diagnosis where barely anyone gets that particular diagnosis. In fact, the actual research shows at about 1.5 to about 2.5 of the entire populace that is given with that particular diagnosis. And I've showed it to you before. If you want to go back into the video to see the criterion to which you have to get, and you need 4 of those to be seen as someone who is an avoidant, avoiding other people. I don't see men just avoiding people just like that. What I see these days, a lot of times, is that men will avoid the whole idea of interacting too much with women. And why that happens is because of the connotation where it could go for a man. Because all it really takes, is for a woman to say that a man has done something, and guess what? He's behind bars, he has lost his career, he has lost different things. I think that's actually smart and regulating of the emotions. I think that you have to be very well regulated to understand that in your mind and to know exactly how to deal with that. Let's we not forget Jonathan Majors. Let's not forget that the man was running from an actual woman, right? Let's not forget that Jonathan Majors was running from a woman. Yes, running. And even with that running, he was the one that was charged. So, what are we actually talking about here? You see, I'm starting, as I said before, I'm starting to have issues with all of these. And I feel like, no longer are we having, meaningful conversations. Everything now has to become very ridiculous. It's out of the way. And sometimes I feel like women don't want to have like meaningful conversations, like, conversations in good faith with men. To make a blanket statement that most men have avoidant personality disorder, when you know exactly how society is these days. This woman probably, let's say she has a son, she understands that it doesn't take much for that son to get arrested and charged and put behind bars and loses his freedom and his life, and then to make a statement like that only because these men are staying in their place as women have asked them to do is extremely facetious. But you know what, guys? Don't worry. Tell me what y'all think. I could be on, I could be off. Let me know what y'all think, because maybe I'm missing something about this all right here. Maybe I'm missing something. Am I correct? Is this time for us to kind of stop using these degrees and these, things that we have read on the internet to whack the populace? Especially black people. Let me know what y'all think. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Talk to y'all soon.